Hello. Hello. Looks like you got to get kind of close. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Cincinnati and the beautiful Metropolitan Club. How about this view? No kidding. Thank you, Doug Bolton, for hosting us here today. We are Club 17. For those who are not familiar, we are the 17th club out of 46,000 Rotary clubs worldwide. And we are delighted to have you here today. And we are in our second century of service to this great community. And our motto is service above self. When I met Jennifer Jones, she's the Rotary International president, she said that Rotary is a place for important conversations. And we have an important conversation today. We're delighted to invite our panel to join us. The title of our discussion today is Fentanyl at the Border. We welcome Channel 12 Liz Bonis, Advocate Mark Murphy, Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones, and Ohio House State Representative Cindy Abrams to Club 17. Thank you all for joining us. We're most looking forward to this important discussion. We're going to begin our meeting as we do with the national anthem led by Hux Miller and accompanied by Steve Haber, followed by the four-way test and invocation by Terry Shearer. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good afternoon. For invocation today, I'd like to just deliver a personal message to the Club 17. My message is simple: thank you. I want to say thank you to this club for being who you are and what you represent. I want to say thank you to this club for allowing someone like me to be part of it. The reason I'm saying this, I want you all to realize how special we are. We are a beacon of light and a beacon of hope for so many people that don't see that. We represent things that a lot of other folks don't. We deliver light to people like me that live a life like so many others. When you look at tragedies that took place in Tennessee, the tragedies that took place in Louisville, these things can create PTSD. These are the things that can weigh on you. But I'm lucky because I'm a Rotarian. I get to come down here on Thursdays and you all bring something to me that delivers hope within myself, that gives me opportunity to spread love out to the community. So please do not take for granted who you are and what you represent, Club 17. And please never change, because many people need to see who we are and see what we represent. We are something beautiful, and for that, I just want to say thank you.
Amen. Hey, that's
Let's recite our four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Would it build goodwill and better friendships? And would it be beneficial to all concerned? God bless you all.
You may be seated. Now to welcome our guests and prospective members, Director Bill Stilley.
Good afternoon and welcome to Rotary Club 17, the 17th oldest Rotary Club in the known universe. Also one of the largest clubs in the country, and quite frankly, I think it's the best. I'd like to introduce some guests and potential members, and as I call your name, please stand up so that we might recognize you. Chris Moyer is with Anthem and a guest of Pete Armstrong. Cynthia Lamb is with Bailey Life, a guest of Melinda Kelly. Desalini Weaver, a guest of Nehemani Yisrael. Fred Craig is with Trans Devon America, a guest of Jack Scott. Gail Fisher, gosh, I think you might know her husband. Fred's, welcome. James Harrison with Local 12 is a guest of our speaker. Megan Bergasser, also with Local 12. Mike Fitzgerald with GE Credit Union, a guest of Owen Rassman. Nancy Sullivan with Transformation CVG, a guest of Hux Miller. Pandy Pridemore, the Human Resource USA, a guest of Al Conscious. Sarah Kendall, a guest of her husband, Chris Kendalls, with Keller Williams. Tony Brunsman, Spirit of Construction, a guest of Jack Scott. And a special guest who is going to be bringing you some information about his work, Xander Creed, all the way here from Brussels. Thank you so much, and welcome to Rotary Club 17.
Thank you, Bill. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Stilley. Welcome, guests. We hope you all come back and join us in service. Our meeting sponsor today is Doug Bolton and the Metropolitan Club. Doug has yielded his time back to us, but we do want to thank him for supporting this meeting, supporting the AV costs, and sponsoring validated parking. So thank you, Doug Bolton. And now for a new member introduction. Jim Young is going to introduce us to Todd Anderson. Come on down.
Thank you, President Steve, and good afternoon, everyone. It is with great pleasure that I welcome the Reverend Dr. Todd D. Anderson to Rotary Club number 17. Todd is not a new member to Rotary International, having been a member of the Rotary Club in Defiance, Ohio for 8 years, as well as the Rotary Club of Westerville for 8 years. Additionally, Todd's grandfather served as president of the Rotary Club of Charles City, Iowa, where Todd was first introduced to Rotary International. Todd has served for 32 years of ordained ministry and currently serves as co-senior pastor at Hyde Park Community United Methodist Church. Todd served as district superintendent in the Ohio River Valley District and was dean of the cabinet of the West Ohio Conference prior to be appointed to Hyde Park Community. Todd received his Master of Divinity degree from Candler School of Theology, Emory University in Atlanta, and his Doctor of Divinity from United Theological Seminary in Dayton, Ohio. Todd has been married to his college sweetheart, Patty, for 34 years and loves spending time with family and friends from around the world. Great joys include vacations in Florida, up at Lake Erie, and in Vermont. In 2019, Todd and Patty welcomed Liz Cortez from Nicaragua into their home. Liz is studying at Xavier University and will be graduating this spring. It was a great benefit to Liz for bringing her to the United States. And so if you want to get to meet Todd in a little more depth, Todd is going to be distributing smoke detectors this Saturday in Mount Airy. So come out and join in that effort. Let's give a warm welcome to Todd Anderson.
Welcome, Todd. Which is delighted to have you in the club. Thank you, Jim, for that lovely introduction. Next, I'm delighted and honored to introduce a young PhD student. He's been selected by Rotary International as a Rotary Global Grant Scholarship recipient. He's a native of our community. Xander comes to us on break from his studies. Now, I heard Brussels, Xander, but I thought it was Rotterdam. Is it both? The Hague. We've got it all wrong. The Hague. Well, here to tell us about his work is Xander Creed.
Yeah, thank you all for having me here. Am I close enough to the mic that everyone can hear? Perfect. So, thank you all for having me here. I'll use some brief notes so I don't go on too long and I stay at the 3-minute time because I can just keep talking about my research for hours, so I won't try to bore you with it. I grew up in the Cincinnati area. It's really nice to be back. I first became acquainted with the Rotary Club in the middle school when I was in part of the local community play, so it's really nice to be back with the Rotary Club, this time in this capacity. I would really like to thank the Rotary International for recognizing the work that I'm doing in the PhD for improving policies for refugee governance around the world. I'm particularly working within the human security framework alongside the international human rights law in the processes of refugee status determination and humanitarian protection, as well as compliance with international norms like non-refoulement or the principle of non-harm upon return. I've previously worked studying Nigerian asylum seekers and refugees in Ireland, as well as their return, and I'm excited to announce that my master's thesis was published in a peer-reviewed journal of refugee studies that just came out, so it's accessible for you all to read if you're interested. I also have a forthcoming book review article in the Law and Society Review that I did with one of my colleagues at the Institute. I'm currently a teaching assistant in the Peace and Conflict Studies specialization, as well as serving as a second supervisor for other master's students who are currently writing their dissertation. So I'd like to say thank you to the Cincinnati Club 17 for all of your support, for letting me come here and to talk a little bit about my research. I really appreciate it. I will be paired with the Club D 1600 in the Rotary Club Rijswijk-Ypenburg, which isn't The Hague or Brussels or Rotterdam, so it's a little bit all over where it'll be. It's a mystery. And I really would like to give a shout out to Frank Scott and District 6670 in Dayton for their help with the intensive process of working with Rotary International all throughout the application process, as well as finding the international club partner. I really look forward. I'm in the first year now of the PhD, so I still have 3 to go. But when it's done, I really look forward to being able to come back and also share the findings that I come across on the way. Thank you.
Hey, Xander, thank you so much for your work building peace and promoting goodwill around the world and helping refugees. We're really proud to be your sponsor and to play a small part in making this Rotary Global Grant Scholarship a possibility for you to pursue your studies. We really do want to hold you to coming back in 2 or 3 years. We'd love to hear what you found and where you're going. A few announcements. Birthdays. We wanted to wish a happy birthday to two members who are actually celebrating a birthday today. Bob Brandstetter and Angie Ferguson, happy birthday. Split the pot. You know, some people come for the programs. I think some people come for split the pot because today's pot is $41. Not bad, but the revolving pot is $1,792. So, whoever's ticket this is, and it is a red ticket, gets $41, and if you happen to be a Cincinnati Rotarian, you can draw for the Queen of Hearts. All right, the last four digits are 3011. 3011. Do we have a winning ticket? Joe Seal. Joe Seal, you're looking for the Queen of Hearts. Christy swears that it's in the deck. Oh, Joe Seal, so close. So the pot continues to grow. Have to come back next week. We heard Jim Young mention this, and Todd's going to be there. But on Saturday, the 15th, we are helping the Red Cross to pass out smoke detectors. We're meeting at the dedicated Senior Medical Center on Coleraine Avenue in Mount Airy at 9 a.m. Project captain is none other than Dr. Hux Miller, and he says we still have some room for some additional volunteers. How many more do you need, Dr. Hux? 6 or 7 more. So if you're available, see Hux and look on DACDB for details. Don't forget to sign up and attend the next professional development series. It's going to be held on Thursday, May 4th. That's at 11 a.m. just before the Rotary meeting. Attendees will join James Lenhoff, local author, podcast host, and life coach to learn more about a coaching model that will change your relationships forever. Sign up on DACDB. All right, that is it for announcements. At this point in time, I'd like to welcome Jack Scott to kick off our program.
Thank you, President Steve. First of all, good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Today we get a 4 for 1. Didn't start out that way, but that's the way it ended up. All 4 speakers today could be the headliner on any program that we have for Rotary or elsewhere, so we're indeed fortunate. Liz Bonis has assembled this group of panelists, and she will be serving as the moderator today of our panel. To discuss the fentanyl problem. I don't know as much about it as I should, so I'm very interested in that, and I would suspect probably most of you are in a similar situation. Liz is not new to being here at Rotary. This is, I believe, her 3rd time she's been here, maybe 4, but 3rd for sure. One of the times she was here, she came in right after the close of the year, and she presented to all of us with regard to health and nutrition. And we kind of took that message to heart. We ate carrots and apples for about a month until past President Al came up and he said, I've got a diet for you. It's called the Snickers and Chardonnay diet. Liz, I'm so sorry that didn't stick. But in any case, Liz is a special friend of mine, and she was actually introduced to me many years ago by a gentleman in the crowd, Fred Craig. Some of you know Fred and know what he's done for our community. He's done work nationally also, but Fred is he's a distinguished engineer that was responsible for the design and construction of Fort Washington Way, and you know how that has transformed our community, or many other services that he has provided, projects on which he's worked. So, Fred, thank you for that. And I just wanted to mention Liz, of course, all of us know for her role on 12. I mean, she's health, she's nutrition, she's everything with that show. And she has just done such an important job. She's also a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, a former diabetes educator with a master's degree in public communication and journalism from Syracuse University. Liz, I wore this for you, kiddo. And although she bleeds orange, her heart is golden. Please welcome our special friend, Liz Bonis.
Thank you very much. You can sit anywhere you want, Sheriff. I learned that. That's right. So, hey, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you for the invitation. Let me just give you a little setup, and then we're going to just go to the videotape. I do want to let you know two things. Our wonderful health producer, Megan, is here. She's taken a few photos so we can share them on social media. We do delete any bad, food in the mouth shots and that. And James Harrison, I always joke, and he doesn't like this, is the most important person in the room. He's going to put us all on TV later, okay? So I am so grateful, James, to be your work wife. And every day we have the privilege of sharing stories like the crisis at the border. And just to give you a little setup, this wasn't our station's idea, and we are so grateful that they let us go. Sheriff Jones, just a few months ago, said, hey, we have this chance to go down to the border. We're going to explore what's there. We'd be interested in taking a TV crew. Do you think you guys can go? And I was like, we're on a hiring freeze. Yeah, right, And so we put it out to the bosses, and we talked about the fact that in our own community and across the nation in COVID, not only do we lose 100,000 young people to fentanyl, but we were increasingly getting these calls in the newsroom where, somebody would get a bad dose and, 4, 5, or 6 people would just drop over and you couldn't revive them from a dose of fentanyl they didn't know they were getting. What really intrigued me was I started reading that in the COVID-19 pandemic time, they have started fentanyl delivery services, just like DoorDash. And one day in New York City, it was reported that somebody got a batch of fentanyl. People knew it was out there, put their text order in. It got to the first person who dropped dead in their apartment, and before they could get to the second person to tell them not to take it, the second one was dead. And 11 people died in the same day from a DoorDash delivery of a drug that they thought was something that was supposed to be a really good prescription cocaine, I believe, that happened to have fentanyl in it. So when you start seeing that, it really impacts, how is this getting here? What is this doing to our country? And, I was so grateful that you just stood up and sang a song about our country, because our country needs people like you to have conversations about this and how we intervene and what we do. So with that, I would just like to show you, and I know for some of you it's a little bit hard to see this videotape. Please feel free to stand up or do whatever you need. We just want to share, you have your own, got it. We just want to share one of our stories that we brought back from the border, and then we're going to introduce the rest of this panel.
Hey there, everybody. Scenes like this show us the tragedy of the fentanyl crisis isn't just impacting those taking the drugs, it's also impacting those attempting to deliver them. We found out just how as we were inside Cochise County Sheriff Mark Daniels' police car.
Vehicles working back and forth in between the lanes.
On a chase of a vehicle suspected of both human and drug trafficking. We top speeds at more than 100 miles an hour.
This is our criminal interdiction team. This is what we're seeing daily.
The car flips over, and Daniels' team, along with Ohio's Butler County Sheriff, hop out, guns drawn.
They're smuggling for profit with the migrants, and we'll see what else is in the car. So.
Ambulances are called and loaded with several people who need immediate medical attention. It is clear these runs are dangerous to those who choose to make them and those who try to stop them.
Without them, the criminal element would take over and we would not be safe.
Two young women from the car are taken to the side of the road, shaken but not visibly hurt.
This is sadly what's going on when you don't secure the border.
I sit down to talk to one of them. She says her name is Myra. When her cell phone rings, she asks me to answer it and tell her mom she's okay.
Is this Mom? Okay, I'm just a reporter. I'm sitting here with your daughter.
Police say Myra is known to them. This is part of her way of life. Looking on while I talk to her, however, is the Ohio father of Lizzie, who accompanied us on this trip to the Arizona border.
There's possibly 3 people that could be dead.
Lizzie died of fentanyl poisoning, but Mark Murphy, her dad, can only tell me this.
I can't believe what they would risk for drugs.
Myra is the age Lizzie would be right now had she lived, just 23.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's shocking.
In the scene of all this chaos, Mark says it's hard not to think that, well, Lizzie was one victim of the drug cartels, Myra is just another. Now, the Cochise County Sheriff's Office tells us if these young people had made it to their destination with everything on board, a $30,000 payout was waiting for them. It's a powerful pull, putting lives at risk. I'm medical reporter Liz Bonis. Now back to you.
How do you, as a young person, resist $30,000 to reach your destination and smuggle these people and who knows what else across our border? I mean, I could. My first media job, I made $10,000 in the whole year. I understand the powerful pull. They've now started using social media to recruit our kids. So with that, I want to introduce you one at a time to these panel members. I want to start with Mark Murphy, the dad you met there. We feel like Lizzie's kind of one of our family members now. And we're so grateful that you made this trip with us. But what I asked is just that each of them would tell you a little bit about what they gathered from the trip. And for me, it was sort of what the ripple effect has been in their lives since.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. When Mr. King said service above self, that's the only reason I'm here, is service above self. I live in Westchester, Ohio. I just want to make it personal, so I live close by to Cincinnati, and my daughter, Elizabeth, 21, took something she thought was a Xanax, and it was not, and it killed her instantly. And I just want people to know that fentanyl is the #1 cause of death between 18 and 46. And when I say #1, that's above cancer, heart disease, anything else you can think of, it's #1. So I'm just trying to get out there and make it more visible to people, because there is no politics in grief. This is a national problem that we all must get behind as a team to combat this problem we're having in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and we are grateful that you stepped out of the comfort zone because, I asked him for some pictures of Lizzie on this trip, and he said, I can't even really look at these anymore. They're beautiful, and, in my heart, it's just very, very hard to see them. So we know that this was a hard trip for you, and we are so grateful that you made it.
Thanks for having me.
Us. Cindy Abrams, I got to know on this trip, and she's pretty passionate about how this is getting to our community. I'm kind of going to let you just pick it up there.
Okay, well, I think all of you have maybe had my bio, read the bio. I don't know if you haven't. There's no heads shaking, so I'll be super quick about this. I moved here to Cincinnati. I can't believe I'm saying this, 27 years ago. I don't feel like I'm that old, but here we are. 27 years ago to work for the Cincinnati Police Department. So I was an officer on patrol, and I served about 10 months in the Vice Unit, which was undercover drugs and prostitution. So fast forwarding, again, I got into politics. I'm being real serious when I say this. I'm actually not a politician. I understand that's my title. I get that. But truly, it's serving the public just as I was as a police officer. It's just a continuation of that. I'm passionate about keeping people safe. It's in my heart. It's in my blood. And almost 100% of all the bills that I've personally sponsored in Ohio are just about that, keeping people safe. So thank you, Sheriff, for calling me and inviting me on this adventure. It was quite the adventure, and it took me almost the whole entire flight from Phoenix back to Cincinnati to really process what we witnessed firsthand. I really wouldn't have believed it. We all see things on the news and we read things and we're like, okay, it's really bad down there. And I'm telling you right now, whatever you think about what's happening at our southern border, it's 1,000 times worse. And it took me that whole flight to process number one, what we saw. Number two, what to do about it, because, you know, I'm a former police officer. I like to solve problems. That's what we do pretty much all day, right, Sheriff? And so, again, to really put the paper to the pen and figure that out. The cartels are absolutely terrorist organizations, and they should be treated as such, period. They have no regard for human life. You saw a little snippet of the pursuit that we got in. That happens multiple times a day in Cochise County. Again, no regard for human life. And, you know, these are not the people that want to come here to America, the greatest country on earth. They want to, you know, work, better their lives, raise a family, get an education. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the cartels that we witnessed from way up top of a mountain with binoculars, loading up truckloads of people in full camouflage gear, many times armed, with as much fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine that they can carry in a backpack. And they're coming right over it in an area where there's no wall and there's no barbed wire fence. It's wide open land, and it's all day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Again, these are actual felons, criminals that are coming into America trafficking these drugs. Like Liz said, they're recruiting our kids and Americans to drive the car. It's heartbreaking. They're telling them to run from the police, do not stop for the police. That was in the text message in the app that the police can see. You know, our kids don't think that the cops can see the WhatsApp or the Snapchat, but they can. So anyway, that being said, we met with the prosecutor's office, which gave me you know, some good ideas, kind of how to solve the problem here in Ohio, what to do in Ohio, how can we make a difference in Ohio to kind of, you know, we're never going to stop this, but at least to slow down the human trafficking and the drug trafficking in Ohio. Every single state is a border state. I have a press release from Ohio State Highway Patrol. They pulled over a van on the turnpike early March with 11 illegals in it, and the driver was previously deported 40 times. Again, so this is happening every single day. I am currently working on a bill that's going to ramp up the penalties on the human smuggling, the drug smuggling, and then, of course, the fentanyl-related homicide. So stay tuned. I will keep this group, of course, close to me through that whole process, and looking forward to working together. Again, the cartels are absolutely terrorist organizations, and we're just honored to be here to kind of spread the word and what can you do to help us with this. So thank you, Liz.
And thank you for the legislation introduction, because the worst thing we wanted to happen was that we went there and then came back and nothing moved forward. You know, if we don't use this opportunity to change our own community, and like you said, it's getting somewhere if they're DoorDash and delivering it here. And we don't change that, shame on us. So that said, the guest of honor, I'd like to introduce to you Sheriff Richard K. Jones, Butler County. No, please use it. I know you do, but we need it for the camera. Thank you.
Is it on or off?
It's on, yeah.
Okay, I don't like to use it, but I'm kind of a shy individual. I called Liz one time when I had COVID. She called me. She said, "Hey, you're an old man." She didn't say it that way, but you have COVID. Can I, when it first came out, how you doing? Asked me a lot of questions. And I didn't tell her, because that's a lung disease, right? I didn't tell her I just got done smoking a cigar for an hour and a half. I only lost 2 points on the oxygen level. I told my wife, if I die smoking a cigar, don't tell anybody. They'll say the dumbass needed to die. I know you can't use that on TV, but anyway, it's a true story. It didn't kill me. I was very fortunate. The worst thing is I had to stay home, and my wife had to stay home with me. And she said if she got it, she was going to kill me. So thank God she didn't get it, because there's a lot of people want to kill me. But I asked, could you go to the border, and because of the fentanyl? I want you to understand, you have to see it. You hear me talk about the crises on the border all the time, but you need to see it and feel it through Channel 12. We need you to see it uncensored the way it really was. What you have in Cincinnati, 4,500 people, 450 people die a year in Cincinnati, just from fentanyl. 4,500 die in the state of Ohio in 12 months. 4,500. In Butler County, 170 just from fentanyl in 12 months. The whole United States, 100,000. First-time users, you can die. The drug cartel is very, very sophisticated, very smart. We're losing the battle, whether you believe it or not. The border is wide open. We border in Ohio with Canada. Drugs are coming in from Canada. People's coming in from Canada. So don't think it doesn't affect you. Well, you live in nice neighborhoods, it don't affect me. Yes, it does. If you drive on the road, it affects you. People are on this stuff. They're driving. They'll kill you. They have crashes. They rob. They steal. This is a very expensive habit. There's a drug called cheese that the drug cartel has came up with. The kids can buy it with their lunch money. And you're thinking, well, you can't make a profit with that. It's not for profit. What's it for? It's addiction. It's to develop customers. These people are smart. They're sophisticated. They're coming. And we're all border states. I don't care where you live. They don't stay on the border. They come back into the United States. And as we mentioned, 200,000 a month, 200,000 a month are what they call catch-ems. They give these illegals that are coming into the country unique names. They call them catch-ems. They actually give up. They dress as good as we do in this room. They come from 170 different countries. Russia, China, 170 different countries. One-way flight into Mexico. They come into the United States. They turn themselves in. The Border Patrol takes them, gets them squared away, and gives them a citation to report to immigration court, which is 7 years from now. But when you ask the immigration people, are they having hearings now? No, they're not. So it's probably never. Now, there's 70,000 a month that are called getaways. They don't get caught. They don't turn themselves in. Camouflage, 100-pound backpacks, drugs, and weapons. They come across daylight or dark. We were out one day. They come in daylight. We got one individual out on a road walking by himself, probably 45 years old. He was a decoy, very sophisticated. There was others watching to see if he got captured, which he did. They pick him up, they take him back, they turn him loose. We were in a place close to the border where 200 rushed the border, right close to where we were at. Not that day, 200. Since then, there's been 1,000. They come in groups and they rush across. You can't do nothing about it. They're here, they're coming here. The drug cartel, very sophisticated. They have safe houses here in the United States. Safe houses is where China and Mexico have houses in nice neighborhoods. They're not in terrible neighborhoods. This is where the people that are bringing the drugs in can stop, get rest, pick up their drugs, and go back out. Most people live in neighborhoods. It's not like the nuclear family where everybody knows everybody. Nobody knows anybody anymore. And you just come, you go to work. You don't know your neighbors. They're here. And this isn't to scare you. It's to let you know. It's not to alarm you. It's to arm you. People in this room are the business people in the communities. You manage and are in charge of everything that goes on in these communities. Are we winning this battle? No, we are not. It doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't know what the fix is. We've seen border fence. We've seen border wall. They were watching us with binoculars as we were watching them. When I first got there, the sheriff gave me a little handgun. I carry a small handgun, a little .38. And I said, you won't have one of these. He did. So Liz stayed pretty close to me. They wouldn't give the rest of these guys guns. Then they gave me a shotgun. And I'm thinking, what am I going to do with this shotgun? Well, you just seen it. We're chasing a car that just people bailed out of. She said it was over 100. It was 110. I don't want to get you in trouble or anything. And these people that were doing, James was a little nervous in the back, but he said he'd been there before. Liz wasn't saying anything. I was more nervous because I was up front. And these guys, the sheriff, you know, when you come to a curve, usually you slow down. Not these guys. They accelerate. And I'm thinking, I hope they don't go much faster. As the car comes past us, they put stop sticks out. That's sticks with barbs on them to flatten the tires of the people you're chasing. Never fails. The police run over those damn stop sticks every time. I don't care what state you're from. Sure enough, the police car went off to the side. He got stop stick. And that's his second one this week, so I'm sure he caught hell over that. Then there's less cars chasing. Then they have a grappling hook that goes out, grabs the tire on this vehicle, and locks that vehicle up. There's 5 people in the car, 4 bailed out already, probably with the drugs. Needle in a haystack. Needle in a haystack. The Border Patrol has been gutted. When you see fence, there's fence that President Obama built. There's fence that President Bush built. There's fence that President Trump built. It doesn't matter what party you are. They all built fence. Then there's fence stacked as high as you can see that's paid for, but they just stopped it. So I bring to you, as you can see, I'm very shy, but we got to do something, and I don't know what it is. 76% of all the illegal drugs in the world, this is the most important thing you'll get out of this tonight. 76% of all the illegal drugs in the world come to the United States. Did you hear me? 76%. Now, I went to public schools. Don't hold that against me. I have a master's degree from Xavier, but I don't tell people that. It actually hurts me. I go y'all and howdy and go It works better for me. But my budget's $60 million a year, and I hire smart people and I let them work. I have 1,000 prisoners. I have 500 employees. My payroll is $1.4 million. And we got to do something with this addiction, folks. It's almost 80% in the world comes here. So we can try to stop it over here like a giant balloon. You squeeze it until we get this addiction thing under control. China does the fentanyl. They run the fentanyl to Mexico, which brings it over to the United States. True. That's not made up. It's not made up because I'm the police. It's fact. The fentanyl comes down, comes from Mexico, and comes into the United States. These pills they're counterfeit pills. They look like real, any pills that you would get when you go to get a prescription filled. We're losing the battle. Think about addiction. There's nobody in this room that doesn't have a friend or a family member or somebody that you know that's been addicted to drugs or has died from this or has been incarcerated from this. Me personally, I have. I had a brother that was 38 years old, had cirrhosis of the liver. He drank and done drugs, and he died. I've had other family members. I don't think there's anybody in the room that doesn't have somebody or knows somebody and has a friend or a child. It's among us, 76%. Thank you for allowing me to talk. Now I can turn this thing off.
No, leave it on. We have questions. All right. Got a question straight back here. I'm going to go right to it. Sheriff Jones, thank you for that. You know, one of the things he didn't tell you is that when we stopped this guy along the side of the road, he hops out and he's got this backpack full of whatever, the police ask him, so what's in it? And he's like, oh, this is for my high blood pressure. And we're like, wow, that is one serious case of high blood pressure. Let me tell you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I did a little research before I came today about what's happening on the border with fentanyl. And Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said, this is a quote, "It's unequivocally false that fentanyl is being brought to the United States by non-citizens encountered in between the ports of entry who are making claims of credible fear and seeking asylum. So most of the immigrants coming here are not the ones carrying the drugs. The issue with the cartels is huge, but the vast majority, 84% of the fentanyl, is coming through the ports of entry, so in tractor trailers, hidden in various places, And it's important to know that about 84% of those cars are being driven by American citizens. And sometimes it's unknowingly, sometimes they're part of the cartels, but it's not immigrants seeking asylum, according to Mayorkas and according to the DEA.
So, did you have a question?
Well, I do have a question. How many people here routinely carry Narcan with them? Raise your hand.
I have it. So the one comment.
I saved somebody Saturday because I carry it.
The one comment that I'll make to that is that, and I'll let Sheriff Jones answer that, is that, well, I have heard him say that, quote personally about who's bringing what. The one thing we know is this is a layering process. This isn't, only legal people bring in, only illegal. And that's why they call the give-ups and the getaways. If you are a legal person coming in and you get busted, it is 7 years before you will get a hearing right now. That's how long it is. So, we know that, yes, it is. It's 84 months. We asked that out there, Sheriff Jones, didn't we? No, ma'am. That we asked these facts. Sheriff Jones, I'm going to let you pick that up about,
Sure.
Reply back.
To begin with, this is the same guy you got a quote from that says there's no crises at the border. Everything's great and wonderful. So, which he's a liar. That's not true. Sorry if I offend anybody here. I'm kind of a sensitive guy. But he is a liar. The border is out of control. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. It's totally out of control. The people that come over, it's not like what you think it is. Look, I'm going to come today and I'm going to walk across the border. That's not the way it is. The people that are coming across the border have to go through the drug cartel. Just so you know that. The drug cartel owns most of the land along the border. You have to pay. You can pay up to $15,000 to $25,000 to come across the border. You have to have their permission or they will kill you. Pretty simple. So they want you to come in, and if you're from these other countries and you don't have the money, guess what? You're an indentured servant. You're going to hunt drugs across the border, and you're going to bring drugs across the border. Or all these people that are turning themselves in, they're from 171 countries. Our country was founded on people coming here legally. 2 million a year come to this country legally every year. It's a great country. But you can't come across the border illegal and think it's okay and you can just come into our country. You can go to the schools. You don't have to have vaccinations. You don't have to speak English. And when you go to the schools, what do you have to have? You have to have an interpreter in the school, in your classroom that's already overcrowded. Are all these people bringing drugs in? No. The drug cartel hires Americans to help with it. They also arrest and stop people humping the drugs in. Do they bring drugs in from the port of entry? Sure. You know what they do? They bring 3 or 4 semis in. They'll sacrifice one semi. And what do the cops do? We swarm. And then they open the border up and they come on through. Our border is broke. And whatever the border czar, I can't pronounce his name most of the time.
Mayorkas.
Yeah. He's a liar. The border is not safe. It's not secure. People are coming across the border. There's drug cartels bringing across the border. There's people that are coming across the border that are rapists, criminals, MS-13, and I could go on and on. Don't have to believe me. Facts. But this guy that says everything's great and wonderful and there's no problem is a lie. So, sorry if I offended anybody. I apologize. I usually apologize before I speak.
Hey, we invite the conversation, and we so appreciate that it even comes up. And like I said, it's a layering process. It's not coming one spot. It's coming in multiple places, and we just happen to be at the border. Somebody had a question back here. Yes, sir.
I think we tend to oversimplify. It is a layering. And there's a difference between refugees and undocumented folks. And when we simply use these platitudes and statements that just lump everybody together, I think we make some huge mistakes on how we treat people. Our immigration system is broken. That's where we need to start. I agree the border is a mess. But we have people who are refugees who are seeking asylum because of where they come from. And we ought to be proud that they would want to make a life here. I'm the son of an immigrant who made a life here. And if I were to tell you a story, it's an interesting story where he was on the wrong side of World War II. But he came here and made a life here. And he wasn't welcomed necessarily, though he did make that life. And I think we can talk about the border and it's broken, yes. But if we don't talk about the immigration system and the political system is so locked up, the politicians that only want to keep their job instead of make the changes, I think we are making a huge mistake when we hold these kinds of forums.
So excellent. Again, everything's the layering process. Cindy, go ahead and take that.
Thank you. I will say I do agree with you that the immigration, we should take a serious look at that. Obviously, I serve in state government in the Ohio House, so that is certainly not something I have a vote on the U.S. House. I do not at this moment. So I will say that, again, going back to my remarks, these are not the people seeking asylum. These are not the people wanting to come here for a better life and a better education and to start a family and bring the family. I mean, all of us in this room are immigrants. I mean, I trace my ancestors back to Ireland and Italy and Croatia. So again, all of us, have that in our background. So, but what I will say though is what we saw and what the cartels, what we're talking about, are the dangerous criminals coming here. That is what we're trying to shed light to. We're not talking about the people that want to come here legally or the people that are seeking asylum or anything like that. We are talking about dangerous drug cartel criminals. I guess I can't get that through enough. Like I said, as a mother of young adult men, teenage, I'm telling you, it terrifies me because the Xanax that Mark's daughter took and the fentanyl that we saw looked like legit Adderall, legit Xanax. And if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would be just like you, not believing it. But I did. And there's no disputing what we saw. So thank you.
So I'm going to give you final question, then we're going to give Mark the last word, just to remind us why we're all here, because this is taking lives.
Now that we have the news media here, I'd like to know why the cable news networks, all of them, and the alphabet stations that we watch each night don't talk about this at all. It's like it didn't exist. Why is that? Why are some of the other foolish political items that get all the print, get all the news, and we don't talk about this problem at all?
Sheriff, you want to take that?
Sure I do. I get the easy questions. Listen, I invited the media to go with us. I did. Because without the media, the story doesn't get told. And they go and they can't undo what they've seen and video. If they don't go, they don't see it. It can't be fixed. I've been on Fox News a lot. I've been on CNN, not as much. They don't treat me as good, but I like going on there. I really do, because I get to talk to a group that I don't normally get to talk to. Now, I know when I'm on CNN and the other channels that they're going to give me one segment and ask me one question. So when they give me the microphone, I try to talk for that entire segment before they figure it out and they cut me off. I only got shafted once, and that's when they had 2 segments, because I talked most of the first. The immigration system is broke beyond repairs. And I agree with you 100%. I never said it was Republican or Democrat. I never said it was any president was greater than the other. I didn't say that. They're all screwed up. And they've done this all. It doesn't matter. None of them will touch the immigration issue. Don't matter what party you are. They won't touch it. They won't mess with it. They'll do everything in the world. They won't touch it. And so I wish I could tell you how they could fix it. I've always said They should allow more people to come in legally, and they should streamline this system. Sneaking across the border at night and just coming across because, you know, you're downtrodden, you're being treated terrible in your country. We have a process. No other country, and they are. They're not trying to sneak into Russia and China, Iran, Afghanistan. They're trying to sneak in to the greatest country in the world. But you still we gotta know who you are when you come here. You just can't come in, because with the good that comes in, the bad comes in. Now, I'm not an expert at this, but, sir, we do agree the immigration system's broke. And I never said that it was the people that turn themselves in and are the people humping the drugs into the United States. The drug cartel, when you see these 200,000 turn themselves in, that's because the drug cartel allows them to. They pay the drug cartel. And if you think different, okay, you probably believe in the Easter Bunny and Christmas. And I know when I come to a group like this, it's going to be a very different group, and not everybody's going to agree with me. Hell, I've been married 46 years. When I go home, my wife don't even agree with me. Did that surprise a lot of you? I'll be on TV sometime, and my wife will say, hey, I seen you on TV. I said, well, how'd I do? She said, I don't think you've done so well. She'll say, maybe you should have run that past me first. I said, well, it sounded like a good idea at the time. So hopefully that answered your question. I'm not an expert at this. I've been doing the immigration issues and drugs for 20 years. Some of you probably don't agree with my approach, and that's okay. I still love you. And I had a good meal, and I didn't have to pay for that meal today. So those of you that don't agree with me, you help pay for my meal. Thank you, and bless you.
That's true, like welcoming. All right, we don't want to lose sight of why we're here. I just wanted to give Mark the final word to wrap up.
I just want to let people know that I talk to a lot of people that have lost kids, and there's no politics and grief once again. That gets me upset when people start bringing in politics. But I would like you to do this. Your sons, your grandkids, a lot of people come up to and they say, Mark, I can't imagine if that happened to my family. Well, I ask you this. Please imagine it happening to your family. Because if you have a son or a daughter, somebody that's anxiety, they have, they're nervous about things, they're looking for Adderall or Xanax, they're going to get it on the streets, they get it through Snapchat, and it is here in the tri-state. So just warn them that if they love somebody, think twice before putting a pill in their mouth that was not prescribed by a doctor. Just please do that, and that would be great.
All right, I'll turn it back to you. You guys, thank you.
Thank you.
We love your discussion.
Wow. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Sheriff Jones. Thank you for bringing your personal story and this discussion to Rotary. We think this is a really important, long format discussion, and you don't get that kind of time to digest personal experience and to feel the emotion, Mark, of loss. And as a father of 3 teenagers, it scares me to death, and I don't like thinking about that imagined terror at all. But bringing it to us all helps us to arm, not alarm, right? As a token of our appreciation for you sharing this meaningful discussion, we wanted to share a Rotary Club of Cincinnati coin with each of you. On one side is that 4-way test that we recited earlier, and on the back is, on the front is Rotary Club of Cincinnati, on the back is that 4-way test. But also on the front is service above self, which I think unites us all here today. Let's give them all another round of applause. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of meetings today, a couple of final announcements. There's a board of directors meeting in the boardroom. There's a hands-on service committee meeting in the back of the lunchroom here. Next week, we are back at the Hilton. We have Adrian Melendez, Director of Operations for Amazon Air Hub. Don't miss it. We'll see you then. Until then, make it a great, safe week. Meeting adjourned. I think there's a ding somewhere around here.